This is Ruthie and Anna of Ruthie K's, and we are here with another So Much Talk podcast. And today we are talking about the different questions that are asked of a tailor, of us in particular. These are all questions that I have been asked and we have been asked in general, because for those of you that don't know, Anna is also my virtual assistant and she does a lot of my scheduling for me. So a lot of the times the questions will come to her first. So Anna's going to ask me the questions and then I will answer them. And if you guys have any additional questions or need more verification, please let us know. Write it to us, send it to us so that we can answer any more questions that you have. We've just gone through a list of most of the ones that we have. So Anna's literally going to ask them this time and I'm going to answer them so that we can try and keep this nice and orderly so you can follow along on questions. Okay, Anna.
All right. So these are a lot of the questions that we get asked over the phone, but we've also gotten inquiries on our website and everything. So from real people like you. Do you work on men's clothes?
I do. At Ruthie K's, I do work on men's clothes, women's clothes, children's clothes, boys' clothes, girls' clothes. It doesn't matter to me whose clothes they are. At Ruthie K's, I work on clothes. That's the big thing. If you bring me a project that's way cool, I may do it once. But on the whole, I personally just like clothes. Now, other tailors are going to be different, and that's one of the questions that you do need to ask a tailor is, what do you work on? We have a lot of tailors around here that only do bridal. Excellent. That's their specialty. They do bridal. That's all they want to work on. I do bridal. I do a lot of bridal. Between the months in the Pacific Northwest here along the coast, our bridal season is June through August. And I do a lot of bridal dresses, um, bridesmaids dresses during that period of time. But I also at Ruthie K's will work on men's suiting, which is also part of what I consider the bridal, is the men's suit clothes as well. So we do both at Ruthie K's, but you'd need to ask your tailor. Ask any tailor you're interested in. One of the things we want to encourage you with all these questions too is to interview your tailor. Actually make an appointment and interview your tailor. For me, we could do it over the phone or we could do it in person. If you come in person, I'm not going to charge you for an interview. Other tailors might, because it is our time. For me, it's just not something I wish to do, but that's not a criticism of other people who may feel like they actually can't afford to put that time out there without pay. And that's totally fair. Um, it all depends on that tailor's philosophy in life. It depends on how much money they need to make to actually make a living. Um, it depends on different aspects of their philosophy on tailoring. So those are legitimate things, and you can ask them that. I'd love to interview you as my tailor, as a possible tailor for my wedding gown or for my suit. I would like to know if we can have that interview and if it will cost me anything. Totally legit.
Another question we get asked very often, do you work on jeans or denim
I
in general?
do. I do denim. I do jeans. I actually do not find them really complex, but a lot of people do. In some ways, a pair of jeans is a lot easier to alter than a pair of slacks. I actually like both because I enjoy the challenge, but I also enjoy something that's a little easier now and then. We take jeans in at the waist, we take them in at the seat. I can add darts to them, I can take in the side seams. And when I do work on your jeans, I actually do put the top stitching back in. We do original hems, and an original hem, just to be clear, what I'm talking about is literally cutting off that hem and sewing it back on. There are multiple ways of doing this, so be aware of that. And you can go to YouTube and look it up. There's some ways where the seam is left showing. There are other ways where the seam is enclosed into the seam, but either way, what we do is we replace that hem on and then we sew it back up with original jeans thread. So it looks very, 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 very close to what it was. And why we do that is to leave the wear and tear that's put into that hem. The other way we would hem a pair of jeans is to cut that off, leave enough to roll over, and you're going to put your own wear and tear in as you wear your jeans. So the original hem is where we cut off your original hem and sew it back on. And then a regular jeans hem is just using jeans thread and putting a hem in with jeans thread versus with regular thread.
All right.
Those are three different costs, by the way. If I'm cutting your hem off and I'm taking it all apart and I'm sewing it back on, that's going to be one cost. If I just cut it off and sew it up with jeans thread, that's going to be another cost. If I sew it up, and some people have me do this, sew it up and do it as a regular hem, it's going to be the cost of our regular hem. At this point in time, at Ruthie K's, go ahead and go to our website and look it up, because I don't want to get into a price war or anything with other seamstresses. We all have our cost, but the average cost of a plain hem is going to be $15 to $40. An original jeans hem can be anything from $18 to $60. Okay. And that really depends on your seamstress. So go to our website, ruthiekays.inc, to find out our prices on just our basics that we have down there. Of course, if anything needs changed or added, we will have more. That's the caveat I have to put in there. Next.
Next, do you work on jackets, like outerwear jackets and
I
coats?
do. I do work on jackets and coats. I've relined them. I've brought the sleeves up. I've shortened them. We can't lengthen them. I've taken them out and I've brought them in. I've fixed pockets. I've fixed holes in them. Um, so yes, I work on outerwear jackets of all kinds. I've worked on fluffy, puffy ones. I've worked on wool and other fibers, both natural and man-made. I do linings. I reline. I fix your lining. I fix holes in your lining. I do not tend to do leather over jackets because I do not really have a machine made for leather, and would recommend you to somebody who actually works with leather a lot, because there are specific machines that work better with leather, and depending on the thickness of the leather, that's mainly why I wouldn't work with it, because I don't want to scar your leather with a pressure foot or something like that, because it doesn't open wide enough between the plate and the pressure foot. So I do over jackets.
So that actually pretty much knocked out another question as well, is whether you work on leather, because we do get asked that.
I do, though, work on some leather, and it depends how thick the leather is. It depends on what the leather's made into, because a pair of chaps is usually a little stiffer leather, and I probably won't do that. But if it's a thin chap, um, I may be able to do that. So it's always worth having me actually look at it, unless you know someplace that actually does leather. That's always good to go to someplace that specifically has machines that do leather. At this point in time, I do not have that machine at Ruthie K's.
Awesome. Okay. Another one that we have gotten increasingly over the last couple years. Do you work on undergarments?
I do not, as a rule, work on undergarments. Will I build specific undergarments new? Actually, yes. Some of those I have done. We did have a specific case where somebody needed a t-shirt styled onesie for medical purposes. Um, I am looking at different ways for people with a pick line to have access to that pick line via their undershirt. Um, so those are some of the things. I have also altered um, new undergarments to go with like a colostomy bag. So those are very specific cases. If you have a medical thing that you need, please feel free to come talk to me because I would love to help you. And we prefer that we work with a new undergarment versus a different one. And there's a lot of different reasons for that that have to do more with health and safety than anything else as far as new undergarments versus old. Which at this point, let me go ahead and put in. If you bring me your stuff to alter, could you please clean them first? It's always better and healthier for both of us if I work with a clean garment.
It's a very good addition. Um, Another one that we've been getting that we get very regularly. Do you fix zippers?
I fix lots of zippers. I fix all kinds of zippers. I can sometimes get them back on track if they've come off. If your head has come off just one side, and the head's the part with the handle that you slide off, um, yes, I can sometimes get that back on. If I can't get that back on, or when I look at the zipper, I see that teeth are missing, we're going to have to actually replace that zipper. So we do both replacements, we do both fixes if we can. Um, and I will recommend to you if I manage to fix your zipper whether we should replace it or not based on why it came off. If I can fix why it came off, then you're not going to have to replace it. But if you have teeth missing or it's older and starting to the coils are starting to come loose, you're going to eventually need that zipper fixed. And we'll let you know that. But we do fix zippers, all kinds of zippers on jackets and coats and overcoats and linings and jeans and slacks and tops and the sides of sweatpants. So we do all kinds of zippers.
All right, and this is two questions in one, but they're basically the same thing. It's how much will this cost, and can I get an estimate?
Cost is based on what I actually have to do. Can I give you an estimate? Yes. I will always give you a high estimate. I always give you a high estimate because we're a lot happier if we end up not paying as much as we've been told we'd have to pay. You also have to realize that an estimate is an estimate. That is not a guarantee of price. When I don't see a garment, I can't give you an accurate estimate. And by see it, I don't mean just a picture. Because a lot of times you can send me a picture and there's something I don't see in the picture. For example, I have had brides send me a picture with them wearing the dress and it looks like the dress fits because of how the picture was taken, but it was all pinched up in the back. Well, I can't give you an estimate for that. So if you come to me with your wedding gown, I'm going to give you a generalization of an estimate, and a generalization of a wedding gown estimate is going to be based on the three major things that we do, which are hems, sides, and a bustle. To do those things, it's going to cost you $300 to $900, depending on what I do. That's all I can tell you until we get together and check it out. Now, you can have a consultation. And for most of us seamstresses, a consultation will be free, or we're going to give you a soft estimate on it until we actually pin it. If we go through the whole consultation and pin it, we are going to take our pins out. And think about this. Those pins, one, cost me money. Two, you're asking me to send home part of my work without pay. Because pinning you is part of the work that I do. So not only are you taking your pins, but you're taking my time and my effort to put in a hem with pins and a bustle so you know what your garment's going to look like. If you aren't sure you want me to do any or all of that, that's perfectly okay. I'm totally okay with that. But you need to be okay with me taking all of my pins out. And if you take it to somebody else, then they're going to repin it for you. And that's fair, guys. I am putting this effort and all in so that we can see if we can work together, and that's totally fair. And it's totally fair if you decide not to work with me, for me not to go ahead and send my partial work on to somebody else to actually do the work. Hope you kind of get that drift. It seems kind of tough, but it really is a line and a disappointment to me that you take my pins. Because believe it or not, I go through a lot of pins in a year and it adds up. So, I need to keep my pins. But it's totally okay if you don't use me. I am truly, honestly okay with that. You need to be able to work with your seamstress. Did I answer both of those questions, Anna?
Beautifully, yes. I was going to add that a lot of tailors would prefer to pin the garment themselves anyway, just for their
Mm-hmm.
own process. So them taking the pre-pinned garment isn't super helpful in the long run anyway. So, um, one of the big ones, how long will this take?
It depends on how much the alterations are. At Ruthie K's, our timeline is basically 14 days. That gets longer if we have a whole bunch of stuff in there, and can be a little longer if I have a lot to do. If I'm basically having to reconstruct something, the bodice of your dress, because of your shape, you had to get your hips, and then we have to bring in the bodice 2 or 3 sizes. That's probably going to take longer than 14 days. But an average normal alteration is takes about 14 days. That's working days.
Or if it has applique.
Yes, thank you, Anna. I always forget applique. Applique can take a lot longer. And with an applique, why it can take longer is it doesn't really take that much thread to keep your applique on securely, but some people do it with really tiny stitches. And especially if it's all on net, I need to be very careful with that. I do not want to rip your garment or tear underneath where the applique is. And so I want to be very careful with that. And sometimes it's just harder to get off. So it takes me a lot longer. I have literally had an applique take me 5 days to take off the front of a hem on a wedding gown because it was so tightly sewn down. So, yes, applique actually will have an extra fee to it to be removed because it can take a while. It's yeah.
One that we get a lot in the Tacoma area because I'm not really sure why, but is do you do rushes?
A lot of people do not consider the alterations in their process, in their timeline. And so they end up not calculating in how long it'll take. So now you know if you're coming to me at Ruthie K's, you need 14 days. So remember, ask your tailor when you're interviewing them, how long a time is it going to take to get this done? Now, in Tacoma, a lot of the ones that I've had have been for funerals. And we totally understand that you don't always have a lot of advance notice to that time frame. But the prom, I hope the school's going to give you more than 2 weeks. Though, having put a niece and nephew through high school, I'm not always sure that that happens. So, there is a rush fee. The rush fee can be anywhere from an average rush fee right now is about $15 per garment, guys, per garment, because we have to now put you ahead of other people in our line. That's going to push our line out further, or I'm going to have to bring in somebody to help me sew some of this stuff to get it done by the time they were guaranteed or informed that they would be done. So be aware of that and work with your tailor on how much that is. And that's really because we're going to have to either do extra hours, we're going to have to push somebody out further or more than one somebody, and we may have to quickly go out and get something that we could otherwise order and it would cost us less. This includes thread so that we can get your garment done within your time frame. At Ruthie K's, we also incorporate in our actual schedule a certain amount of rushes. and a lot of times they're taken up. We do a lot of rushes, especially like, and some of them are business, by the way. So if you're a business person, and yeah, I used to be a corporate trainer as well as a seamstress, and there are times that I would get notice from my boss that oh, you're going to be leaving in 2 weeks. You need to read up on all of this so you can present it. I was a presenter of information, so I understand that sometimes that's really quick. Also, be aware if you have a rush job, if you have a business trip and you decide to buy 3 new suits and you need them all done within a week, that's asking an awful lot of your tailor. Hopefully your tailor has more business than that. So do be aware they may have to say, how much do you absolutely need? Because altering 3 suits is a big job. I mean, you're literally talking for basic alterations of hemming the pants, hemming the jacket, maybe bringing in the sides of a jacket. You're literally talking a whole day to maybe 2 days to get all of that done. Now, imagine if I have people in here already, I may not have 2 days to be sure I get that done for you. So be aware when it is a rush job, how much do you have to have done? And then talk to your tailor. Please don't just take what I say and say, oh, I can't have it done. Talk to your tailor. They may actually happen to have time that week or at that moment to work with you. We never want to turn people away if we don't have to. The other thing is, I may be able to recommend you to a tailor. I personally am building and will constantly be building a group of tailors that I can work with, ones that I can send you to because I trust them to do a good job. So I have them for bridal, I have them for suiting, I have them for rushes. So please talk to us and let us help you. Okay,
All right.
Nana, what do we got next?
I have one last one for you, which we get and is very important for us to clarify for ourselves, but is different for every tailor. Is I'm in the area. Can I just come by now?
Okay, with COVID, before COVID, I didn't have a problem having 2 or 3 of you in my itty bitty tiny house because I work out of my home. And my home is only about 850 square feet. I have a whole room dedicated to my sewing. That's where I work out of, and I absolutely love it. But my own family doesn't want to all come visit me at one time. And I don't know that you do. And since COVID, we're much more aware of having too many people in a room. Do I mind having more than one client here at a time? Absolutely not. Part of what I like about being a seamstress is I get alone time, but I also get time to visit with people. Plus, you could visit with somebody while you're there. And that's all perfectly fine. But in our business, we do prefer to have just one of you up here at a time, especially since COVID. And also, especially since a number of my clientele happen to be older, it's very important to me not to spread disease to them. And not just COVID, but I don't want them to give them the flu. I don't want to give my 90-year-old customer who has a medical procedure coming up a delay in their procedure because I've been exposed to COVID, even if I don't get it. That makes a huge difference. I don't want them to get pneumonia. I don't, I'm just, I personally am very aware of how illness affects some of my customer base. And so I want to be sure that that doesn't happen. So we do ask that you would schedule an appointment. But you can ask, hey, could I drop this by right now? And if we tell you yes, please take us up on it. It may be that I don't happen to have a customer right when you call, but it's not going to be a guaranteed thing. So for us at Ruthie K's, yes, we would like you to schedule ahead of time, even if ahead of time is 15, 20 minutes. But just stopping by is not the most comfortable for my other customers, nor possibly for you. Okay? Do we have
Awesome.
any more questions, Anna?
Those were all the ones I had on my list for this time.
Okay, so hopefully that answers a lot of your questions. If you have more, please send us a note, send us a comment in our videos or our podcasts, and we would absolutely love to answer them for you. This is Ruthie and Anna of Ruthie K's Inc. Have a great day.